Hello my friends and welcome back to Annelies Journaling. Today I'm going to start a project that I do every year, and it's time to do the spring summer creativity journal. I'm making a journal each year where I put things that gives me happiness and help me to remember certain moments in the summer or the vacation and the spring that is very nice to go back and look at some other time. So in these journals I make them interactive, so you can flip and open and also work in them in time, so you don't do the whole journal right away. So you work in it and make it through the summer. So I thought you could follow me on this journey and maybe do your own creativity journal. So I have picked a few things. I started this last night when I had my insomnia hours. So this is a piece of silk that I have eco-dyed, and this is a piece I want to use and probably will be the inside of the journal. And as you can see, there are beautiful details. Silk is very thankful to use in dyeing, eco dyeing, and it makes this beautiful pattern. I have used some brush of color in this too, and these are leaves and different kind of moss and lingonberries, and these are of course my colors, this kind of turquoise-ish. So I have saved this piece for a long time now, and now it's time to use it. So for the cover I'm going to use this old linen from France. It's over 100 years, and I'm hoarding these pieces. I bought them maybe 10 years ago, and now and then I'm using a little piece of it. So this will be the cover of my journal for this summer. And to make this really fun, I'm using the pages I'm starting with is textile, and this is just for a base. So I'm going to color these in as I work in it, and also maybe cut some off and sew on paper pieces or photos, maybe sew a couple together and make big pockets, glue on other fabrics, laces, papers, embroideries, and really play with it. I often save sticks when I'm out in the nature, and I'm putting them in my journals and writing the date and maybe some memories about this little stick that I have. Kind of like this, I save these small pieces and then I'm using them for decoration. Or maybe put in some envelopes with memories, write some little stories about what I have done. These are envelopes that I had in my shop earlier that I never sold, so I think I might use them instead. So this is one of the sticks that I have saved for some memories or some decorations, and that's fun. So we can use it up. I have a lot of these sticks now, and I'm pretty sure it will be more during the summer. So to make this, I have taken piles of old bed linen, and these are 3 A4 pieces, and then I have sewed them together in the middle, so it will be sturdy and sewn on my machine, but you can hand sew it. And then I have taken 3 piles with 3, so it will become 6 pages like this, double-sided pages. And it might be too much, so but then I can just cut them out if I don't want to have them, so it's easy to change it. Then I'm measuring a piece for the middle of the cover, so this piece is in the middle, and then I have 1.5 centimeter both sides, so these 3 lines will be the signatures. And to get a little bit more sturdiness, I have sewn that onto another piece of this linen, so this will be sewn on like this in the journal. So these pages will be covered up with papers and embroidery and things like that. So this is how it looks for them at the moment, and we are going to put in the paper for getting it a little bit more sturdy. So I have taken pieces of a file folder and cut them in sizes that will fit both the pages, and then one piece in the middle. So this is how it will look when we have glued it down, and then we are going to use this on the inside, and then we will have this linen piece with the signatures on top of that. So let's start gluing this in, so we can make do of the fun things later on. So I have left a little piece of textile around so I can sew the pieces together, these 2. But I'm going to glue it first, so I'm sure that I have it where I want it. It's easier to see when you have it glued down. So let's start. I can see right now that I need to check, so I have which side I want to have as a front page. I guess it doesn't matter, but I think this one. As it's old, it's a little bit of a wobbly on the edges, so we might need to sew a bit wobbly too, because I want to save this old edge. And this will be a very creative journal, so not much measurements and not much of the perfect way. This will be a journal where you can relax and leave your thoughts and your soul without anything special. So let's start. I'm putting the textile this way so I'm sure that you can see properly, so everything is in the frame. So this is the edge I have measured out for the spine. So this will go kind of there. And the only thing I need to think about now is that it's kind of straight around the paper, so I can have some piece to sew in. So I don't go like that and leave this. Need to have it kind of in the middle. So time to glue. And even if I'm going to sew it on the edges, I'm going to glue everything down, so it's will be kept in place until I'm done with the sewing. I'm using bookbinding glue. I have got a lot of questions about that. And this is a Swedish brand of bookbinding glue, but it's perfect for everything. So you can glue kind of whatever you want with this glue. It's a glue that dries and make everything transparent, so you don't need to think about that the glue will be seen somewhere. And it's also a bit what should we call it, even if you glue it down, you can still move it a little bit, so you don't need to be afraid that it's hard and stiff. It's a bit gummy like, so it stays in place and it's super strong, but it still gives you this opportunity to kind of feel that it's soft when you have used it. I don't like the feeling when you kind of using a glue gun, then it will get totally stiff and hard. So I'm just going, this will be up and this will be the front. So I'm putting an F there for the front side, just so I keep it in mind where I want everything. And I'm using this glue for everything, even metal. Will keep it down, so it's a very nice glue to use, and it's also cheap. I buy it in big containers and pouring them into smaller bottles. Try to get this as straight as possible so I can sew on every side. Properly. And then we have the piece that will go in the middle, and I'm going to take a little bit off so it still will be flexible and not get stuck in each other. I want this textile piece, a little bit of the textile to be, so you can kind of just see. That will work. So now it's still flexible, but you have a little bit of sturdiness in it. And it will be even more sturdy when we put in this kind of little bit thicker linen piece. So let's put down the silk and see how we want that to be. The edges are beautiful, so I kind of want that to be as much as possible. I think I need to have it this way. It's just so it will fit, so I need to kind of try to get it to fit like this. Maybe a little piece on the angle. I want this piece to be seen. That's nice. Just thinking which side I want. It's kind of beautiful on both sides. Maybe this one is a bit softer. Not quite as dark. I think we just need to start gluing and then cut it off when we have glued it down. I'm going to take off this piece that is have this sewn edge. This is a piece of an old blouse, so that's why it's have this seam on it. That wasn't so good. I ripped it. Okay. Let's kind of get it in place. Taking a piece of paper and just smear this out so it won't be this rigid lines. Just making sure that it's smooth and flat. And I'm gluing just on the paper, so it keeps it in place until I'm going to sew it. on the textile pieces. Just need to check so I have textile on all the edges. Am I still in frame, or have I glued you away? To pull this down a little bit to get it to fit all over. Sorry, getting you a bit dizzy there. So now I'm just cutting off the part I don't need. This, then we have a beautiful, it's a little bit tight down here, but I think it will work. Maybe need to put a bit of more glue to keep it straight. Okay, I will just leave this to dry, and then I will sew around it on my sewing machine and get back to you in a second. I have sewed around all of the sides, so now we have kind of a spine, but we can still, it's still movable, so we can feel the touch of this journal. Now I want to put a piece of lace on these edges. These ones are kind of secured from leaving any threads. But on this side I have just cut, so that needs to be secured with some lace or ribbon. So I thought just a little ribbon like this that will go on the edge, and I can zigzag on top of that so it won't be seen so much. I have that one, and then a little bigger one. I got these from Nearest Laces, and they are also beautiful. But I think I will go with these. Just checking if I have one that isn't so white and still thin. But I actually like this really small one with these dots on it. So I think I will go with that. So I'm doing the same, just gluing it down so I'm sure that it keeps in place while I sew it. Try not to pull it so it will be wibbly and wobbly. Put a little bit more on the edge. So it will cover up the part where I will need to sew. And the same on this side. I don't really like when you can see the zigzag, even if I will do this a bit shabby, and something tells me that I want it to be covered up with some beautiful lace instead. I guess we are going to see a little bit of it, but not as much as if I'm just sewing on top of the textile. And these edges are so beautiful, so I'm going to have those as they are. I might maybe put a piece a bit more in from the edge, but I don't know how to decorate it yet, so I will wait with that part until I know how I want the cover decoration to look. So back to the sewing machine, and make sure that these edges will stay in place without leaving some threads. So the little edge are in place, and this way you won't see the zigzag in the same way. So that's nice. So I'm thinking that we will leave the cover for now and get back to that a bit later. This is actually how it will be, and this will of course get pockets and probably get something on the edge to cover up this too. But I thought we could move over to the pages for a little while and play before we put them in, because I want to give some of them at least some color right away so we can start playing with them. So I will get my colors and I will be back in a second. So I have taken my watercolors and just put a plastic bag under one of my pages. So I thought we could play and have some fun with some colors and see if we can make a little fun background colored page. Move it up a little bit so everything is in frame. Like that. Okay. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of color. I'm going for brown, I think. Just as a little antique edge color. I just want something to happen on the page. Kind of like a little frame. Not going for any special pattern or so, just having fun and playing with some watercolors. And now when my edges are already wet, I can go in with a little stronger color and make them a little fun. So it looks like they have this old coffee dyed feeling. Try to not keep my arm in the way for the camera. Maybe need to move it down a bit too. Oops. Not try to do two things at the same time. So you can see what I'm doing. That's kind of important. I'm taking directly on my watercolor now with a wet brush, so I get this intense brown edge. Then I'm just going to take my other brush that is a bit easier to do some splatters with. Just a cheap brush, and then I'm just making some patterns. And that's it, actually. I'm not going to do anything more at the moment, but it's a nice start when you are going to do some journal pages. Much more fun than a totally white one. So should we say that that's it for today, and we will continue with this later on. I also have my other journal with the embroidery and the window to finish, but I still have one of the earlier journals in my Etsyshop. I just sold one 5 minutes ago, but the white one with the lady and the laces are still available in the shop, so you can check that out if you're interested. Then I will work on some folders. I have got questions about some kind of decoration kits with some embossed paper maybe, and laces, textile pieces. So I will put a few of those together also, probably during the weekend, with some textile pieces with small embroideries on, or other things you can play with, that it's a bit different. So thank you so much for keeping me company, and hopefully you have enjoyed this recording and got some ideas. You can follow this work if you would like to. So go and tear up a piece of textile and let's do a journal together. See you soon again. Until next time, bye bye from Sweden.